On today's adventure, Kelly and I will explore Zion National Park in Utah. Known for the canyons, we will hike through the Narrows and also the trail to the Emerald Pools. The ride just getting there is beautiful. As you enter in the East Gate, you go by Checkerboard Mountain. Lots of scenic areas, see bighorn sheep. Oh, what have we come to?
The tunnel!
These would have been better if we had a clean windshield. We made it through.
We're alive. This is the longest tunnel I've ever gone through.
This is the longest tunnel Kelly's ever gone through.
Yes, it is.
Ah, light! Once you reach the visitor center, you'll be lucky if you find parking. We had to drive out of the park back to Springdale and catch the tram back into the park, and then, of course, take it to our destination, which was the last stop. Stop 9 for the Riverwalk and the Narrows. We are at Riverside Walk that takes us to the Narrows, and that's looking up at the cliffs. The Riverside Walk's about 2 miles until you reach the Narrows.
That thing's pretty neat. I'm still getting away from it like it's an invader from another planet.
There are some scenic sights along the way, benches and places to relax and just enjoy I was going to say solitude, but we'll say the wilderness and the outdoors. I can't say the solitude because Zion National Park is the busiest of all the parks in Utah. Once we reach the end of the Riverwalk, it's time for the Narrows, and there's a lot of people there, but first thing to do is put your water shoes on. Okay, Kelly Paul.
Yes,
What are we about to do?
we're about to enter the Narrows of Zion National Park. Shelby, Paul, I'm doing this for you because it's freezing.
Kelly wanted to wimp out, but if I'm doing it, he couldn't say no.
Is it cold? Oh, man. I should have put my vest back on.
Oh, it's cold.
Is it cold? Oh! Oh, that's a shock to the system.
As cold as that other water, we're just not as deep in it.
Yeah, this is definitely shocking.
Going a lot deeper than it was.
There you see all the people waiting to hike the Narrows. And one of the brave souls that did it was Kelly Paul.
I don't know about brave.
We headed out on the hike, and you'll see I'm wearing a coat, and I think the air temperature at the start of our hike was in the 50s. So you combined 50-degree temperatures with icy cold water, and I'm just shocked there's so many people, because it was cold. But fortunately, when you get out of the water, it gives your feet a chance to thaw out. This is where I want your hiking stick so I can check the depth. The water never really got above my knees. And if the flow is too much, they won't allow hiking in the Narrows. About half the hike's in the water and half of the hike's on the ground. And you look forward to those periods when you're out of the water because of the cold temperatures. Hiking the Narrows is the most popular hike in Zion National Park. And there are a couple ways you can do it. As we're doing it, from the last stop from the tram upstream, or you can start from the top. It requires a permit, and it's a 16-mile hike downstream one way, and then requires a tram to get you back to your vehicle. I'm not sure that I want to hike 16 miles in cold water, so for most people, this is the best alternative. You just hike as far in as you want to go, then you turn around and hike right back out. About a third of the mile in, come to Mystery Falls. Then, I don't know, about 2 miles, 2.5 miles in, you'll come to what they call Wall Street, and that's where the canyon narrows a little bit. And up a little further, you'll come to the Floating Rock, which is actually just a big boulder. Kelly's considering whether this is the end of the line for him.
For me, yep. And it might be.
Kelly might have been ready to go back, but I think he threatened that about 3 times before he finally decided he'd had enough. You always have to see what's around that next turn. Are we going to see something just totally spectacular and unexpected? I guess for most people that are serious hikers, they will go to the Floating Rock and then turn around. It's the last mile or so that you're allowed to hike upstream. Isn't much different in scenery. And for those that just want to get a feel for hiking the Narrows, you can just hike the third of the mile to Mystery Falls and then turn around. But as far as you want to go, it's a beautiful place to be. And I'm sure you'll never forget the scenery. I gotta go around the next corner at least.
That's right. You got me. You got me for the next corner. You're right. It's like,
We're finally in the sun.
well, I was just thinking of laying down there in the grass and taking a nap.
Kelly found a rock in the sun and told me to head on out. So I said I'd only go a little further before I'd turn around and come back. Here's your trivia question for today. How many national parks are in Utah? And as a bonus, what state has the most national parks? Well, I'll let you know that Utah has 5 national parks, and that ranks it third behind Alaska, that has the most national parks, and California, who is second. A bonus trivia question: how many states have no national parks? Of course, when I talk about a national park, I'm not meaning national monuments, a national park. Do you think every state has a national park? Well, if you think every state has a national park, you'd be wrong, because there are 20 states that do not have a national park. And that's one of the reasons there's so many people that come to Utah and swing around to visit their big 5 national parks. I noticed a lot of people with the same water shoes and same hiking sticks, and it quickly became obvious that these were all rentals. And I asked one of them what it cost, and they said it cost about $50 for their entire outfit that they had. Now, the fall is probably the best time to hike in the Narrows. The water's the lowest, and unlike spring, it's not quite as cold, even though the water temperature still is between about 45 to 60 degrees. You also don't have the monsoons and the extreme heat that sometimes you get in the summer. So this was a good time of year to hike. But I was glad that we didn't rent the gear, because it just really wasn't required. Now in the winter, it definitely would require a dry suit. And I'm not saying that neoprene socks or better gear wouldn't make it more comfortable, but it wasn't necessary. There is a shop right at the edge of Springdale there, or I should say right at the south gate to the park, where you can rent all the equipment you need. Hiking through water takes a little longer, a little more difficult than hiking on land, and some of those rocks are slippery and you'll find holes, so a hiking stick is a good idea. We forgot ours, but Kelly found that stick on the side of the Virgin River there, so he had a hiking stick. I also recommend that, as we did, brought a pair of dry shoes so that when we were finished, we could change our shoes and socks and hike out in dry shoes. And it looks like now, this was actually on our hike back. Some of these videos are out of order, but it looks like I'm hiking over to the Mystery Waterfall. Let's check it out there behind me. It's actually over 100 feet. Hard to get the perspectives from some of the videos, but it's a cool little sight, and like I said, that's only about 1/3 of a mile in, so easy to hike to. Another suggestion is to use the bathroom when you get off the tram, because along the trail there's no place to go, and there's so many people that you just can't stop and go behind a bush.
I know. That's where a hiking stick really would help.
I also recommend bringing some snacks so that you can stop and enjoy something to eat along the way.
But we're here.
And that's the only thing that matters.
At least if you break your ankle, it's already iced.
Yeah.
Some basic first aid supplies aren't a bad idea, and even bringing a flashlight. can come in useful if you go farther than you thought, and it takes longer than you thought, and you have to hike out at night. The last tram leaves at 7 p.m. We are here at the Narrows in Zion National Park, and as we hike, we discuss a lot of philosophical things.
Yes, we do.
And of course, one of the issues of the day is what's a man, what's a woman, and how many different genders are there. And Kelly admitted to me that he once was a boy trapped in a woman's body.
It's true. It's true. I had struggles, and probably for close to 9 months. Then I was born.
And then he was born, no longer a boy trapped in a woman's body. Okay, where'd that come from? We get a little crazy on these hikes, and we don't mean any offense to anyone that has real struggles. But as we hike, the main thing we kept saying is, how are there so many people here? Zion National Park had over 500,000 visitors last year, ranking it in the top 10 of all national parks for visitors. And in fact, on one site I saw, Zion National Park had more visitors than Yellowstone or the Grand Canyon. You see all the people coming down the Narrows. Some of them just don't make it. And this is an example of one of the people that didn't make it. That was the point where Kelly turned around, but as you can see, he made it, and we're heading back. Should mention that, as you see here, a lot of the hike is in the shadows due to the high cliff walls, which makes it nice in the summer, but more difficult to warm up when it's cold.
I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, now it's going.
We are in Zion National Park in the Narrows
It's spectacular.
with only about 10,000 other people.
Maybe less.
I guess I should also mention to bring drinking water, as you can't filter water from the Virgin River due to the bacteria. You also don't want to use it to wash off your face. And with any slot canyon, be aware of flash floods. That's a start. We are back. We brought dry socks and dry shoes, and it was nice to change out of those wet shoes and get a little feeling back in our feet. And feeding the squirrels is a $100 fine. We walked the river walk back to the tram, and we headed to tram stop number 5 to hike to the Emerald Pools. Unfortunately, we saw that sign for the grotto, and we hiked along the trail, which is basically just to a picnic area. And so we ended up at tram stop number 6. But the nice thing about that, there's a trail there that also goes to the Emerald Pools. The video of Kelly taking a picture of that deer. One of my favorite stops used to be tram stop number 7, the Weeping Rock. But unfortunately, due to rock slide, it's closed. So we saw some of the old things at the grotto and headed on to the Emerald Pools. The cool thing about going from stop 6 is that it takes you high up above and you get to look out over the valley as the Virgin River travels through.
The only one who doesn't have a hat.
Kelly, where's your hat?
In the Virgin River. Back in the Narrows. So I'm doing my little floppy, cover the bald head thing.
Cool sight. If you hike from 5, you don't get that same experience. And you can loop from this trail as you go through the upper, middle, and lower emerald pools and come out at stop number 5, which is what we did, and then catch the tram back to the visitor center, and then catch the other tram back to Springdale where we were parked. Just a spectacular view from high up on this trail.
Wherever we took.
This trail also takes you to the start for the hike for Angel's Landing. Since March of 2022, Angel's Landing requires a permit. So you can't hike Angel's Landing unless you have a permit. There's some signs that'll point out upper, middle, and the lower emerald pools. This is the middle. Where are we at?
We are at the middle pool of Upper Emerald Pools. There's a lower, a middle, and an upper.
And this is middle. As you can hear in the video and see in this video, as I hike to one of the emerald pools, there's a lot of people on this trail as well. You don't go to Zion National Park to be alone, but to see the sights and experience the wilderness as a group. Hiking down the stairs, and I guess this is actually the trail to the lower emerald pool. Next to a rock wall, all the vegetation, and the mist coming off the waterfall, and some water on the trail. But it's a cool hike. Of course, about this time, after having hiked the Narrows and hiking up to the emerald pools, we're about beat and just looking forward to getting down back to the tram so we can head back home. See the people in the lower right corner there? Can't see them in there. I had bought a sub sandwich to eat as I was hiking, but unfortunately I ate it in the car as we drove to Zion National Park. So, other than a bag of chips, I really didn't have anything to eat this whole day. So besides being tired, we were hungry.
Oh, here was this.
It's such a spectacular sight. It's hard not to appreciate it. In this, you'll see the people in the lower middle there hiking. Gives you a little perspective of the size of that cliff. And I know the videos don't do this canyon justice as you look up the rock walls and sheer cliffs around you. It's a spectacular setting that after a while you start to almost take for granted. This is Lower Emerald Pool, and you'll see in the pond, the pool, the reflection of the mountains above. Next, you can climb to the upper and middle emerald pools. Where are we at?
We are at the middle pool of Upper Emerald Pools. There's a lower, a middle, and an upper.
And this is middle. They're all cool to see, but we were ready to head back, hiking through the trees. Once you get to that bridge, you know you're almost back to the tram. Hit the porta potties and drive home, watching out that you don't hit any deer. I hope you enjoyed the video and have a great day.